All right, so I want to invite our panel up. Today we are finishing a series, as well as starting a new series today, but we're finishing a series called, wow, I've been on vacation, literally got back, and I'm like, fresh voices, thank you very much. I can't believe how discombobulated I am. But we have been talking about, this group has been talking about different ways that we are able to have hospitality, to reach out to our neighbors and love our neighbors. And so we're calling this panel a Dinner with Jesus panel. And we have three of, not the three in the church, but three people in our church who have really done an amazing job of loving the neighbor and getting to know people. And I wanted you to hear their stories today. And so let me introduce you to everybody. We have Vicky Grundler. And and Jenny Chau. And wait for it, and Carlos DaSilva, who has his own little church. That's not so little. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Like, where are you from? How long have you been here at this church?
Where's my group? I need encouragement. There you go. So my name is Vicky Grundler. Well, my name is Virginia. I was born in Uruguay many years ago and was raised in Puerto Rico. So I have two of my best countries in the world within me. And I live in the United States now for the past 7 years. Went to school in Chicago many years ago. And I have been in Orlando for, it's going to be 8 years now in January. So I started here in Avalon. I think it's 5 years now. And talking about Jesus in the neighborhood and inviting them for dinners and stuff like that, which is what we have been listening to many years. Several months, I should say. My neighbor, while I was doing my pedicure, is Eliana, and she was somebody I met, and she invited me to come, and I have been coming with my son Julian ever since, thanks to my pedicure neighbor. Wow. That's how it happened.
Yeah, so pedicures, that's definitely the way we grow the church.
Right here in Avalon, by the way.
That's awesome. No, thank you. Jenny, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how long you've been here?
My name is Jenny Chau. I was born in Taiwan, and God has chose to immigrate me right into middle school to Brooklyn, New York. So it was perfect timing.
I think a third of our church is actually from Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah, I know. So, I have an interesting accent because Brooklyn and Taiwan and now Florida. I'm married to Chau, have 4 kids. I lived here 9 years now. Time is flying. And I'm part of the life group East Meet West because we all are kind of from the East and Nigeria. And then we're here.
Which is east of here.
Yeah, that's true. Yes. Everything could be east of here. It's all relative, isn't it?
Thank you. Carlos, tell us about yourself.
All right. My first name is Jose, but I go by Carlos. And we believe in here. I'm original from Brazil, Rio de Janeiro. I know some of you have been there. But we've been in the United States for 20 years now. Probably you have seen some of my family. My wife, she usually in the cough, prepare, taking care. My son is the drummer here. And I got 2 more children, they're all here. So we've been here in Avalon Church since, I believe, 2019. So almost 4 or 5 years now. It's been a privilege to serve God and be part of here, this big and beautiful family.
Wow. Well, I'm very excited about people hearing your stories, not just about how you engage your neighbors and things like that, but also about you and the kind of, what your motivation is for that. And so I would love to just kind of ask you, you're here because of a variety of stories that I had heard or that I know you, and I knew those stories. But how do you engage your neighbors? Like what does that look like for you? And I'll let anybody go first.
Very little, I have to say. I have tried I don't know if this has been the experience anybody here, but so I have put Avalon at the church and Easter at the park and all those cards. I put them in the mailboxes. And I talked to my friends in the pandemic. Actually, I was a little bit more successful, but then everybody goes back to their houses, and if they see me, say hi, and then get in. So I have not been that successful in that. I've tried. So what my neighbors are my friends. Many of you have seen me on Friday at the marketplace, because that's where I hang out on Friday night with my friends. A couple of us work from home, so it's our opportunity to get out and connect. Those are my neighbors. Actually, they are my neighbors, and they are also my girlfriends. And that's how I find peace and connection with them. Some of us within the group, we have become more intimate and more kind of getting to know each other, and I pray for them when they're going through some difficult times. I'm very friendly, I have to say. So I said, I see somebody, I say, hi, are you by yourself? Come and join us. And that has happened, and we have expanded our group. I am not the kind of person that I would go and preach. That's not my style, even though I have Jesus inside of me. But it's my style to just be friend, make connections, and then wait until the opportunity happens. Those are my neighbors, my friends.
I wanted to ask you, if I'm not mistaken, actually I know I'm not mistaken, because last year when you had a 9th grader instead of a 10th grader now going into 11th, you just put it out there saying, hey, all parents of 9th graders get together. I mean, like, what was your motivation for that? Because that was pretty incredible that you invited just the entire Timber Creek 9th grade, all of the parents, to just get to know each other.
I'm like that. Well, I have a need to understand my son Julian, right? He's going through some teenager stuff, and I said, how do parents do it? And I don't have a book that could actually answer that. So I said, what about the youth group? There must be some parents there. And we had a great turnout that same day, and Pastor Mike helped me with that. Then eventually people have different commitments, and they were not able to attend. We remain like 4 families that we still meet sometimes, right? There is Debbie, and she's also my neighbor, actually, and her husband. We do not continue meeting. Scott also, that's Philip's dad, and Aileen, right? Elaine. And so we still in touch. We know each other now. Now we share the same spirit for the kids. That group didn't continue because it requires me to be a good facilitator. I may have not been, but also the parents to come. And honestly, I was not a good leader. I was just like, I have this need, can we meet? But I'm open to do it again. So if there are anybody here who wants to help me raise my son and answer the questions, please allow me. But seriously, I think there's a lot of need among parents on how to raise our kids in a godly way. We know how to do it just by being parents, but what else is there? And that's what I intend to do. That quest hasn't stopped. Maybe it was not the right time, and I honestly get it, but I'm still open to have a small gathering of parents who want to read the scriptures and raise our kids together.
Yeah, I think that's great because you recognize that you were raising a freshman year in high school and it was hard, and you realize you need a community to do it with you.
That is right. Yeah.
And I think you create a beautiful space, and it's
you.
been really good. And I think for our life group it's the same because we were, we were immigrants. So you can show the picture. We were all immigrants, and we came here from different countries. And so when you're starting new at something, you needed a community. You need to figure out how to do life in Orlando, how to do life in Avalon Park, right? So with that same mentality, we realized that the refugees, these are legal refugees from UN approval from different countries, from South America, from Congo, from Afghan. They are settled here. They're newly land of refugees. They need help. They need a community to help them to know how to register kids in school, how to apply for a job or get a doctor appointment. I mean, even for me to find primary care is such a pain, you know. Imagine for a new person from out of country. So this picture is my life group, East Meets West, and this was last year. We welcomed some refugees among us in our celebration. I forgot if it's Thanksgiving or Christmas. I have my Christmas tree up, so it could be any time between that time. So we invited a family with 3 kids and then a single woman, and we had a great time. Now, the family, they didn't speak English, and neither did we speak their language, but we were able to communicate with gestures, with hospitality, with laughter. The father was just, you know, he's just a silly dad with dad humor, and he has teenager kids, and you know, they're rolling their eyes. That's like international language, you know. So the mom is just so sweet. She's a great cook. I really enjoy getting to know her. Yeah.
Excellent. How about you, Carlos?
Well, it is amazing how, as an immigrant, when we come here, most of the people, they don't speak the language, just like me 20 years ago. I'm still learning. Every day is a new thing. But most of them, when they come here to have an opportunity to grow, to be, you know, things that he couldn't be in Brazil. But most of them, they don't know how, like you just mentioned, how do we get the job? How do we do this? How's the culture? You know, everything. So it's been a great privilege to facilitate them as they come here. And God has give us a great opportunity through the company. We have a cleaning company. So through that company, we've been hiring some of those people that we know. So they not only get to work, but sometimes we connected with them. And many of this group are here today, so I want to acknowledge them. Hello, guys. Are you guys here? So some of them are here, not only for the job, but also they are part of the life group. So this way, they get to know not only about us, but also about Jesus, how we to connecting to the church as well. And it is amazing. For me, it's kind of naturally, but most of the time it's intentionally. I know we probably gonna talk more about this, but when we came here in 2004, actually we landed in Massachusetts. We went to Cape Cod. You know Cape Cod? All right, so great. So we were there as a church planters to start a church over there. And it was for us, we didn't know much about anything and nothing. But to connect with the people, to engage with them, it was a huge challenge. But it was awesome to see how God works through them. And it reminds me a text on the Bible when it says in 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 2, preach the word, be ready in season and out of season. Reprove, rebuke, and exhort with completely patience and teaching. So that's what God tells us to do.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Okay, so most people out here, or at least a lot of us, we struggle to have a motivation to get to know our neighbors. Sometimes we could live next to people for years, and other than knowing their names, if we even know their names, we don't really have, we don't have a lot of connection. We definitely have not invited them into our lives, and we have not been invited into their lives. Now, I know, obviously, Carlos and Vicky, you two are introverts, obviously, as you're like, hey, I'm more of an introvert, and I would say, Jenny, if I knew you well enough, I would say you're more like me in that. But so, introverts, extrovert, what is your motivation to get to know those who are around you? Because you're doing it sometimes naturally, sometimes very intentionally, but what's the motivation?
Well, I can say what Jesus did for us, it was, he gave his life for us. And speaking about neighbor, when we just moved to this new house, I said, I need to get to know some of my neighbor, you know. And this neighbor next to us, it was actually funny because we were there like maybe 2 or 3 months, and then he called the cops for us. My son, my son had to park his car just a little close to his driveway, so he could just talk to us about, listen, your car is blocking me. Not really, but he called the cops. So the cops came. I wasn't home. He knocked my door. My daughter was at home. She had to move the car, and he gave a citation for the cops. Looked like, really? Is that really necessary? But well, anyways, he called. And I was, at the moment, I was really upset. Why didn't he spoke to me? He could just, knock my door, your car is blocking me. But anyways, I said, God, maybe will be an opportunity to get to know him. So as I was cleaning my yard and, fall all the leaves all around, I'll say, well, let me clean his as well. Not, it would just come naturally, because if I don't clean, I'll clean my yard. If I don't clean his, guess what? All these leaves going to come back here. So that makes no sense. So I clean his yard for 1, 2, 3 times without telling anyone, but I know someone always watching. So a neighbor across the street saw me doing and kind of told him. So he came to me to thank, listen, I'm sorry about the other day, I was really doing, but he came with the gift card, just expression of thank you. So after that, we became really good friends, and I continued to clean his yard.
My friend.
And it is amazing it is very important to break the ice and connect it, and just be kind with them.
Anybody else? What's your motivation?
I think, I come from a background, my father was very good at that. Just like a fun fact, very short. My father and my mom and myself, my family were all born in Uruguay. So when we were able to come to Puerto Rico for better opportunities due to politics and financial reasons, my father took it upon himself to start claiming all his siblings, my mom's siblings, friends. He ended up bringing about 50 people to Puerto Rico for a better life, especially for the kids, so they could go to college and have a better life. Those are my cousins, and they're very, very well in Puerto Rico, and some have come to the United States. Just want to say that because I was raised in Puerto Rico, that does not preclude me from the difficulty of the language, right, and getting to know. So I still had to go through the process of getting to know places in Orlando or in Chicago. So it doesn't matter where we come from, getting to a new place is very difficult. So coming from a background where my family was a leader in, let me put this way, these people here are not seen. Coming from a father who is very motivated to helping others, I kind of took that from him. And yes, I'm an extrovert. Yes, I go out. It has not always been like that until I found myself and I started doing that. It can be an introvert or an extrovert. It doesn't really matter as long as the intention of doing it is there. When you're an introvert, you can do it in little scales, right? Like just with somebody next to you, or when you're an extrovert like myself, then you go to strangers and say that. I don't say that, my friends say that. And how do you do that? And I just want to meet people. And so I have in the back of my mind always, how is this helping connecting the dots, creating community? Would God be proud of what I'm doing? Sometimes I cannot say anything, but I'm praying inside for that person who's struggling with the other in front of me, right? There's not my time to say anything, but it's something that I keep inside. Do I pray for these two right now, or do I say something? My boss is a pain physician. He's an anesthesiologist, and he himself went through surgery recently, and he's got complications. He's a very young guy, and unfortunately, the doctor told him, the surgeon who did the surgery said, you're going to have to live with this pain the rest of your life. And And he was texting me on the side, right? Not on Teams at work, but on the side. And he said, this is what the doctor said. I'm so frustrated, sad. Him being a physician, right? As an anesthesiologist. And I said, I heard a story that a virgin got pregnant many years ago. And he goes to Catholic church, I think, in Viera. And I said, I'm wondering if this is the last word you need to hear. And you as a physician, you know that you guys say a lot of things that can actually intimidate people because you know the research. But you're not part of the research. You are God's child. So let him say the last word. And I'll be praying for you. Really, that happened on a text. And he just put this emoji heart saying, thank you. Obviously, he's not going to say anymore because he's my boss. That's okay. I got it. So
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah,
Jenny.
I think for me, I am definitely an introvert, and so I know, like the issue of refugee that we looked on TV. There's like 120 million displaced people around the world because of all the war that's going on, and natural disaster and persecution. So I know I am really small in the picture of this, and I know I need my friends and my life group to chip in. That together. Study shows that, when the group of people together to kind of help a refugee family, that's truly how it becomes successful because they too need community. So for me, I knew I am not enough and I needed my community to do this together. And I think part of the motivation, even during that party, is that that virgin who had a child after she gave birth, there is this politician who want to wipe out all the boys in that town of Bethlehem. And so Mary and Joseph had to move and become a refugee with Jesus in Egypt for a season until that politician, that leader, is removed, right? So in that sense, I felt moved during that season that Jesus was the refugee, that when we minister to those, we are we are welcome. Like Jesus said in Matthew that he was a stranger and we invited him in. He was hungry and thirsty and we gave him food and water.
Thank you. So what I'm hearing from you, and this is something that I need to internalize even more, is that like for you, Carlos, you had somebody actually do something with intent to hurt you. And yet, rather than retaliating like most of us do, rather than being a normal neighbor and beginning the Hatfield and the McCoy, you might not, that might be a really old American kind of thing, but like where you're fighting back and forth and it gets worse and worse as it goes on. Rather than doing that, you stopped it immediately and you did something nice. I think we need to hear that. Because, when the neighbor's dog poops in your yard and you don't clean it up, or when they call the cops on you, which or they smoke a lot of weed and you're like, I just want to breathe oxygen. We have a tendency to go, I have my rights and you are infringing on my rights and therefore I'm going to retaliate, rather than saying, I'm going to give up my rights because you're worth it. You're worth more than my rights. I will say that. That's very powerful. And yeah. And then, and then you, Jenny, to think of others the way they, as I have been a foreigner, I have been a stranger, therefore I know that feeling. And when we were talking earlier, I thought about it. So does every single person in this room, because even if you grew up in Orlando and that's all you've ever known, you went to middle school and you know what it's like to feel like a stranger. And like a foreigner, and like an alien. Because we've all had those moments where we knew we didn't fit in, and it made us nervous, it made us scared. We didn't know if we were going to be made fun of or what was going to happen. For some of you, you might have visited this church today, and that was the exact feeling you had, and you were worried. And then somebody might have reached out their hand, made you feel comfortable, and made you realize you're never going to have to stand up and introduce yourself in this place, and all of a sudden you're like, whew. And so that feeling, I appreciate that so very much, because we've all been there, yet you have taken that feeling and you've said, I'm going to use that for good. And I appreciate that. And I'm just going to go down because you are all impressing me so much. Vicky, your willingness to reach out, I mean, to your boss, I have a feeling that was a risk, right? That was risky because you don't know how that's going to go down. But also reaching out in the uncomfort of saying, you know, I have a need, you're in a similar situation, so therefore you probably have a need. I'm going to go ahead and step into that, share my story, invite you to share yours, and let's see what happens with that. And you've experienced some people saying, I'm not interested. But then you've experienced people say, I am interested, and all of a sudden a relationship begins, and you're waving to a lot of those people right now. And that's just, I love that. I think those 3 stories, even by themselves, are enough for us to go, ooh, I can take that. Because if we don't know our neighbors, if we don't know those around us, I'm hoping we're feeling a little bit of, oh, Jesus might have a bigger plan for my life. Maybe he wants me to be the tangible hands and feet and voice of Jesus in somebody's life. And it might mean I have to clean up the dog poo or clean up the yard after I got a citation for parking on the street, you know, and so, wow.
Can
I really
I interrupt 1 second?
Yeah,
So just neighbors, yeah, I'm an extrovert, sorry for interrupting, by the way. Neighbors to me, because I have them, but we don't talk other than hi, so I had to expand my definition of that. My neighbors are my people I work with, like my boss. I work at the VA, and I'm a psychologist at the VA. I work from home, but I see veterans in Tennessee area. So interesting crowd, rural veterans, right? But somehow one of them was going to go through surgery the next day, and the nurse told him, are you nervous? And he said, yeah, I'm very scared. You know, we have a psychologist, you can talk to her. And this is all on video. And the veteran said, I just need prayer. And so Jasmine, the nurse, I said, can you do something? I said, sure. So we were meeting all on Teams, all of the squares, right? You know, you're familiar with that. And the veteran was there. And the nurse in front of my boss. And everybody else, you know, the VA is very strict with the separation of state and religion, right? So we don't talk about it. As a psychologist, we cannot bring our Christian values or any kind of values. It's just about the veteran. It's veteran-centered or patient-centered. And I said, sure. So I prayed in front of my boss, the nurse, the other physician, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be so fired, but I want to do this. And what happened in that prayer was that a couple of the whole health coaches that we have identify themselves as Christian, which would have never happened had I not done that. So I think, I know Jesus was more bold than me, than going to the stranger and the Samaritan woman and start talking to her. But not as much. The fact that I did that, I think it opened a door for the VA to say we can talk about it. It's not only reserved for the chaplains, because a lot of people need a holding hand. And it allows the opportunity for others to say, you know what, I'm in your crowd, I'm Team Vicky, let's do this, you know, and spread the news. And my hope is that at some point we can include our Christian values, our Christians' support, if anything, to those who need them, because there's a lot of people who need that holding hand. And if we're a little bit bold, we can do that. And the other area that I have touched that is my neighbor is kids who are my son's friends that I not rescue, but I welcome them in my house because I notice like those kids who are running away or threatening to kill themselves because that's something that is more easy for them to say. I have invited them, and there's one particular one that is not here but did go to church camp. And that's up to the father to continue, right? But we're gonna continue with the effort that it's one kid at a time. That's my neighbor. He lives far away, but it is my neighbor because it's my son's friend. And that who knows what would happen after that? It's contagious, and then that child can invite somebody else. And my son has to recruit others. That's a given. You have to bring somebody, and he tries. But So I think I just want to say that neighbors is not only the next door neighbor, it's who you are with most of the time, most of the day.
Yeah.
That's good. Real good. So you just brought up something, though, about talking about Jesus. I would love to know, like, how do you talk to people, neighbors, coworkers, friends, family? I mean, about Jesus. Like, how do you bring that up? How do you bring him up? Do you always, I can't leave this conversation unless we've talked about Jesus. Like, how does he fit in to your conversation?
It's very awkward, I have to say. Very awkward because I don't know if anybody here shares this story with me, but being brought up Catholic in the Hispanic country, we don't talk about Jesus, we talk about God. For some reason, Jesus is part of God, and we don't talk about Jesus, it's all God. So when you start talking about Jesus, oh my God, how to even say that in Spanish, But so it is awkward to talk about it because that's not the way I was brought up. So I'm learning to do that. And I do it in a very nonchalant way so far because that's where I am. I cannot do something that I am not, that is not synchronized with who I am. So I do it like with my boss in a text. I do it with my friend who says, I'm very scared. And I say, you don't have to be scared. God is holding your right hand, and we're going to do this together. I'm going to be with you. Can I pray? Little things like that, nothing super, because I am not there. Honestly, I'm not there. But I do what I can, what I know, what is synchronized with my heart in doing.
Interesting. For me, it is the strategy that I use. I don't come to my neighbors and the people. I'm a pastor, and I need to talk about Jesus. First of all, I kind of present myself as a friend, and many times they get to know that I'm a Christian, that I'm a pastor, maybe after 2-3 months. I remember a group of people that we went out with the motorcycle, and we went to this bar, and I was there with them, and then all of a sudden started a conversation. Listen, I heard something. Are you a pastor? I said, yes. Well, how come you ride a bike? You're here with us in this bar. I wasn't drinking, but how come? Well, that's me. That's naturally who I am. I want to be your friend first. So become a friend. It's my strategy. And when I have opportunity to share the gospel, when I have opportunity to tell them, listen, I'm a normal person. I'm not an alien. Even though we are not from this world, right? That's what the Bible says. But yeah, I get to know. I go here. I do that. I like to swim in. I like to ride. I like to bike. I just do things normally, not necessarily as a minister. Okay, I go to church every day. I have to read my Bible, even though I know all those things. But I present myself as a friend, and I try to engage, connect with them, and just to be a natural person. Talk about Jesus. I've been praying about God, just give me an opportunity to share what you have done for me, for my life, and what is become a Christian. So most of the people that are here, my life group that are here, that's pretty much how it happened. I connect with them. I invite them to my house. Always about food, most of the time. Barbecue, if you know what I'm talking about, churrasco, picanha, all this stuff. It is always good to have people, and then we talk, we leave. And then every time, God give me the opportunity to pray, to share your love, because that's what God did, right? In John 3:16, he loves the world. He loves everyone. And he gave his son for us. So it's our mission.
Yeah, I think for just like you said, it's with acts of service. I think we start with refugees. We would set up apartments before they arrive. We would show up at the airport when they come out of the MCO gate and they're confused, like, where am I going? And we welcome them with a big smile and a warm hug. And after that, you know, we would help them with various things to help settle, bring them a meal. And the conversation would continue, you know, even through Google Translate, it's possible, to talk about, you know, you think about a person coming to a new country, leaving behind their family, their culture, their career, their language, their food, even the air that smells different here. Seriously. So they left behind a lot, and there's a lot of grieving. And sometimes they do feel anxiety, and that opens up a lot of possibilities to talk about the Prince of Peace, the God who has brought you to this land for this time. He has a good plan for you. He will help you to reestablish, and you have friends, and we are here to help you. And I really seen a Muslim woman who really moved from Muslim. She really became so open to Christianity because she experienced the kindness of the Christian in her journey settling here.
I really appreciate this because it seems like your approach is actually a lot more like Jesus's approach, becoming friends, loving on people. I mean, like, people need good news. And the good news is not just spiritual good news. I mean, hungry people need to be fed. Refugees need to feel secure and have a home. Doctors need people who understand them, especially when they become the patient. And neighbors who call the police on you, they have needs too. Good news for your neighbor was you not jumping down his throat saying, I can't believe you did that. The good news was you cleaned his leaves out of his yard. And so I really feel like I'm struggling here because when I was younger, I remember taking classes about how to bring Jesus up in every conversation. And it was almost like we were taught that that's what you always did because you had one moment with somebody, and so you always talked about Jesus, and it always felt very awkward to me. It always felt very forced. Like I wasn't reading the room and feeling my emotional connection and going, no, I have to do this because it's right. And it never worked out well for me. I always forced it. It always became very uncomfortable for everybody in the room. And so I never knew what that looked like. And then as time went on, I started realizing that I was taught how to bring up Jesus in conversations when you knew you were never going to talk to them again. And I was like, but that's not how relationships are. Like, when you get to know your neighbor, and I think you used this word when we were talking earlier, that it's slow. Like, relationships are slow. You have to earn trust, and you do earn trust by the way you love people when they do not love you, or the way you serve them when they necessarily weren't serving you. I even remember you said somebody, he tried to pay you for something that you did, and you were like, no, that's what neighbors do for each other. We don't take money. This isn't a transaction. This is just neighbors. You go, when it's longer, you're able to invest and meet their needs and meet them where they are, and then share. You're not sharing Jesus like you need Jesus. You're sharing it like, I have found something that in the midst of the chaos of life, and that I have found the reason I was created. I have found the person who loves me and died for me and who makes me right and whole, even though I am still a mess, but God is walking with me. And you begin to share your stories. And it sounds like to me what you've done is you've created an atmosphere where you've invested in people's lives where now, I mean, they want to hear your story because you've heard theirs. You've lived their story with them. And that just seems to really make a difference. So there's no question there, is there? I was like, what is the question,
Well,
Don?
I mean, I do think when you're younger, right, it's helpful to know the ABCs, to know what to say. I'm an introvert. I wouldn't have lines to talk about Jesus or how to talk about what to talk about, you know. So, but now I'm older. We all are.
Yeah, the importance of know your Bible and the stories, it just created atmosphere where naturally things happen. And I look at the Bible and know the story. Obviously, I wait from God, okay, this is my cue to get into the conversation and bring it. the something that happened in the Bible and how it ended. Because the Bible not only tells good story, that's why I love the Bible, because it tells everything, and the bad things that happen, and the good things that happen too. So it is, it comes naturally. You must get to know the Bible, need to read the Bible, so you have an opportunity to share the things that God has done. And it is slowly sometimes, because we need to earn their trust. What He's doing here, what He's talking to me. And then we demonstrate kind, love, and no interest in about this. I don't want you to pay, just like happened with my neighbor. I don't want you to pay what I did it for you. I just did because we're a neighbor. Just like this lady, she came to my door. She knocked it really hard, and it was almost 7 p.m. And she goes, not even say her name, your truck is blocking the mailbox. And then she started talking. Hey, hold on. Hi, nice to meet you. Put up a big smile. What's your name? And my name is Carl. I'm new here. No, I don't care. Your truck is blocking the mailbox. She don't leave it. She does not leave in front of the mailbox. Her house was 3 houses down, but I heard that she was a mean neighbor. Because I heard from other neighbors, no, be careful with that lady. But she came to me finally, and hey, how you doing? What's your name? I'm here, and this, blah, blah, blah. So we started a conversation. Listen, everything's fine, because I leave like 5 in the morning and come back 6 p.m. So my truck wasn't blocking the mailbox to prevent him to put letters. But at the end, I was kind of break the ice with her. And believe it or not, at the end, I was hugging her. Listen, give me a hug here. You're my neighbor. I might need you someday. And she was kind of, what's going on here? It was just amazing. The other day I saw her, the same week I saw her on the Windex. I said, hey, how you doing? She looked like me like this. What did you talk to me? Hey, remember me? I'm a neighbor. Good to see you here. And then believe it or not, we became friends. And that's how it is, because that's how God loves us.
That's good. That's really good. All right, so one of my life verses is, and I have like 7 or 8 or 100, verses that I love. But it's 1 Thessalonians 2:8. Paul is talking to the Thessalonian church, and he says, we loved you so much that we shared with you not only God's good news, but our own lives too. And I really feel like that's what being a neighbor is. That's what everything you've shared is. That we're not just sharing God's love for, like, the message of God's love. We are sharing that. But we're doing it through our lives. We're doing it because we love them. And we want to share Jesus' love with them. And we just want people to know that they are loved. And so we have just a couple of minutes left. I would love for you just to quickly share with us any suggestions that you would offer to us how to invite people into our homes or into our lives. Like any suggestions that you've said, oh, that's what I've done. And I'm thinking of one that you said, like when for holidays you've put baskets out and just said things, and I would never do that because nobody would want to eat anything I made. But like, what are some things that you would suggest?
Well, so my kids know this well. I am always afraid that there's not enough food. I don't know why. It happens every time. So when I have fear or anxieties, I now choose to laugh at it. I was just like, I think there's not enough food. And then everybody else in the room, and my family's just like, there is plenty of food, Mom. So just kind of inviting others to affirm your fear and just kind of cast it out, I think prayer is important, that God gives you invitations. So a lot of time in my heart, I have the conversation with God, just like, God, show me your way. Show me your path. Help me to be present and be with this person, smile. Carlos, he's got the gift of smile. So to be friendly, to hear their story, to be patient. Yeah.
Well, Isaiah said, here I am, use me. So we need to be willing to help, to do what God did for us. So food, it's always a good starter. You know, if you know how to cook just a cookie, some simple, just, you know, share with your neighbor and be willing to listen as well. Sometimes that person does not have a very good experience in life, but we need to share what he did for us, with the smile in our face, with the good things he did for us. Love God and love each other. You know.
So there's a verse in Matthew 5:16 says, "In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." I would say, I don't cook. My cookies are really bad. They're always flat, so I don't share that. I make mantecaditos, for those of you who are from Puerto Rico. I make them pretty good, right, David? I do little things, right? But it's not my forte. What I do good is listen and have fun and spend time with my friends, neighbors, whoever. I'm just present. I think it's important to be present, not with an agenda, not about what I have to do later on. It's being here right now, because this is the present and it's a gift, and this is what I can give you myself. Listen to you. Not only listen, reflect back, and what do you think? And that kind of presence to me has been very good with others. You invite with your smile, yes, and your engagement and your good conversations, not only to listen, but also to talk about yourselves. I'm also struggling with that. You know, what do you think? And have this exchange of thoughts. It's very important. That's what I do. That's what I know how to do best. Nothing else. No cooking, no nothing, no cleaning. Don't ask me to go and clean the house, because I won't do it.
Just make yourself available.
Yes.
God will use you on your gifts, on your talents. He knows what you're capable to do it. He'll just make yourself available. God, here I am. Use me for your glory and honor.
Yeah.
And I'm sure God will use you.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and sometimes you don't know it's happening until it's kind of like Elijah. After it happens and you look back, it's like, oh, God was there. That was God and using me. And you're just like, praise you, Lord. If anyone is interested to be volunteers with refugee and want to engage, feel free to approach me. And if you have desire to donate we have to set up apartment from furniture to clothes. I have a list of donation items at the welcome desk. Feel free to pick up one. Other than that, I think, pray. Pray with somebody, honestly, with your life group, with your husband, friend. Do it together. It's better.
Would you give them a hand? I really appreciate you being here. So this is really the end of one series with the beginning of a series called Pursue that we're going to begin next week. And the series is really about living out God's love in a broken world. And it's about hospitality. It's about getting to know our neighbors. I mean, the whole series. And it's the bless strategy that we've talked about so much lived out. Bless, B-L-E-S-S, beginning in prayer, praying for people and asking God to show you where He's working so that you can join Him, rather than you trying to lead God, saying, Lord, what are you doing in my neighbors' lives so that I can participate in that, I can bless them in that way. And then you listening to their stories, listening to their needs, looking around and seeing, wow, I don't even know my neighbors, but obviously they have young kids because of the toys in the yard, but I never see them, and it's just being aware. And then E, it's your favorite one, eating together. And, Carlos said he'll bring a pizza to a neighbor all the time, and I'm like, I wish I was your neighbor, man. And but eating together, inviting them in and just saying, hey, listen, honestly, that's probably how Raylan and I have gotten to know our neighbors the best. It's amazing how an hour and a half or 2 hours over a dinner table changes everything. But then serving them and allowing them to serve you. So it's not just you bringing a pizza, but if they bring a pizza to you, taking it. Helping them with their grasp, but maybe they help you with yours and allowing that and working with them. And so serving. And then the last S is sharing stories. Listening to their story and asking questions, but then sharing your story in life, your story with Jesus, your story of what God is doing. And that's the blessed strategy. And we're going to talk about that a lot over the next couple of weeks. And so I hope you'll be a part of that. Thank you so much, both of you. Both of you. I'm looking at you two. The three of you. Because best way. I mean, the best way we could have started this, you've given us very tangible examples. I want to pray for us, but I also want to ask you, here's your to-go moment. Here's your action step. Would you pray and say, Lord, is there a neighbor, coworker, friend, family member, distant family member? Is there somebody, Lord, that you would like me to enter and be involved in their life? I want to just ask, would you pray, God, show me somebody in the next step I can take with them to begin this journey of loving my neighbor? Let me pray for you. Jesus, thank you for this just team, this panel, who shared with us so many stories of what it looks like to love our neighbors. God, I pray that you break our hearts and help us to love what you love. And you love people. So help us love people so much that we're willing to get a little uncomfortable and that we're willing to take steps and truly be your hands and feet. And I pray for everybody in this room right now. Lord, would you show us the people in our lives, in our circle of influence and our neighborhoods that you would like us to begin praying for and listening to and eating with and serving and sharing our story with. It's in your name I pray. Amen. Awesome. You guys have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next week.